contextualize how important this stretch, especially this week, is for where you guys want to go?
It's super important. Last year, we went 1-5. It's not where we wanted to be as a team in this division. And so I think this year, we want to, provide just like a new outlook of what type of team that we are. And, we don't want to repeat, that same, the same stuff that we did last year. So I think this is an important game. I think all division games are important. So we've taken it very seriously. Obviously today we had a really good day of practice. And we know that we have a tough stretch, these last however many games that we have. Majority of them are division games. So we know that we got to be focused and locked in.
Do you like having it backloaded where it's anyone's division because you all play each other so many times down the stretch?
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be a lot different because, in the back end of the season, everybody pretty much has their identity as a team. And what you're going to – everybody knows what the opponent is running and what they're doing and trying to scheme up. So, this is really going to be a good tell for, I think, both teams, not just this game, but even the other division games just moving forward of, what type of team we have. And it's going to be very important for us.
How do you think you've positioned yourself for this stretch run, Xavier? You guys always say everything we want is always right in front of us. Now it literally feels like everything's right in front of you. How have you positioned yourself as a team to go through this?
Yeah, I think we've been through already some adverse moments. Obviously, we've had some games where we had to learn from them. Obviously, they resulted in L's, but that's always a learning experience. And I think this team, we've been tested in that aspect of seeing who's gonna. If we're going to stay together, if we're going to split apart, and I think we've done a great job of just all staying together, and I think that's going to help us in this stretch moving forward. So I think it was good that we were able to kind of – obviously we didn't want to lose these games and had ties or whatever, but I think it's good too that we were able to have those adverse moments for these stretch of games coming up, because I think it's going to help us in the long run.
When you look at the Vikings offense, obviously it's been inconsistent at times, but when they're clicking, what have you seen when they are really good? What's kind of been their key to success?
Yeah, they got playmakers. They got really good receivers. They got good backs, and they got explosive offense. They got a good OC that calls really good plays, O'Connell, and it's going to be a challenge for us, just like any other week, but. We got to make sure that we're on our P's and Q's and make sure that we know exactly what we're doing within these calls so we can go out there and execute and be a dominant defense.
X, you mentioned the weapons like Justin Jefferson and Addison. What about J.J. McCarthy? What do you see from him?
He's a young quarterback still, so he has his fair share of mistakes here and there. But, when you got guys around him that can be able to turn those, 1-yard passes or tunnel score, whatever it is, they could turn that to touchdowns, to 20-yard gains, 10-yard gains, whatever. When you have playmakers around them, obviously it helps them a lot. But I think he's still a young quarterback. He's learning, and he's going to have his growing pains, and I'm sure he's going to get a lot better. But I think right now he's really young, and I think it shows.
You've seen a lot of veteran quarterbacks this season. You kind of lick your chops a little bit to get a rookie, and know that there's going to be those growing pains that he's working through.
Wait, say that one more time?
You kind of lick your chops a little bit to get a rookie and know that there's going to be those growing pains that he's going through?
Yeah. I think it kind of depends because, like I said, if you can get the ball to Justin Jefferson, which – it's going to be you can always get the ball to him, get the ball to all these playmakers. They can cover for you in that aspect. So I think in some ways you definitely are like, okay, here's going to be a lot of ops. But I also think that they have really good playmakers where they can kind of make the game a little bit easier for him. And sometimes that negates how many options that we have. But like I said, I think their OC is really good. I think they're going to try to pass the ball. So, from a back end perspective, we got to make sure that we're on, our job and make sure we're doing what we're supposed to do.
Last week you were talking about probably would get some ops. You did get the ops.
Mm-hmm.
I think 2 of their 3 touchdown drives came after you guys had a chance at an interception.
Mm-hmm.
You were on the field for, I think, 31 defensive snaps because in the middle of that, just a 3-and-out for the offense. How tough is that when you're sitting there trying to get a team off the field that's going on 4th down and the ops come and it's just not able to squeeze it?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. Anytime when you get an opportunity and you can't seize that op, obviously it's tough. And, I think we've talked about it just amongst, the back end, the defense about, once that opportunity presents itself, we can't leave any meat on the bone. That's what we preach pretty much all the time when we talk about the ball. So we know that it's very critical. Once we see that ball, we got to, that ball is supposed to be ours every time, and there's no excuses, ifs, ands, or buts about it. So we've took accountability in that aspect, but we still don't change our preparation. We still go to work the same way we did before. We just kind of, put a little bit more like, emphasis on it, like, we need to get this done. So, but we don't really change, how we're going out here and catching jugs every day, making sure that, when we're in individuals doing ball drills, making sure we catch every ball, making sure no ball touch the ground. We just got to make it happen when it's game time.
How do you feel the team did with the jugs and extra practice today there? How was
Good.
it with catching it?
Good. It's always good, but if it don't translate to the game, it don't mean nothing. So, that's how we have to view it. That's what the mindset has got to be. And we gotta make sure that when it's game time, those things have to translate. And if they don't, then we pay the price by being on the field longer than we're supposed to.
Were you able to translate those 34-mile-an-hour wind gusts today in practice?
Hell no. We couldn't translate that. That's something that that's just that's the nature. We can't do nothing about that.
You said that you got a finger on that deep shot.
Yeah.
Did you feel like you had a chance to catch that as you tracked it, or did it just go too far ahead?
Nah. Well, I did at first, but if you go back and look at the play, first of all, it's an offensive pass interference. They don't call it for some reason, but it was an offensive pass interference. I was pushed. I felt like I was running. I'm like, oh yeah, this is an easy one. And I got pushed, and it kind of pushed me in front of the ball. And I was trying to the ball went it was just a bad angle, but it is what it is. Hopefully that play come back and I make that one hand. I'm gonna be like OBJ catching like that. So yeah.
Speaking of translating, obviously Jeff Hafley's gotten a lot of praise this year for you guys. Brian Flores, we're going to be talking about him this week. How much of that coordinator impacts game day versus players impacting game day? A defensive coordinator's impact is what in your mind?
Scheme. When the DC is able to scheme up the other side, obviously the players are going to play and make plays. But when you have a really good DC that can scheme better than the opponent's OC, that helps tremendously. I think Hav has done a hell of a job with that. Like I told y'all earlier in the year, we meet a couple times a week. So I already know, what he's thinking, why he's thinking it. And I think that's where, that really comes into play. When you, especially when you have two teams that both have really good players. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it can stall out and you just got to. But if that scheme is what it's supposed to be, and if it's dialed up the right way, it's ultimately going to put you in a better position to be able to make those plays. And I think Hav does that all the time.
Hey, going back to those missed opportunities, as the leader of that group, are there any punishments in the DB room for dropping?
The punishment gonna be when you go to the contract table. I mean, that's really what it is. If you don't catch the picks, if you don't capitalize on the opportunities, when it's time to sit down and let's talk numbers. That's when that comes into effect. So I don't think you really need to have a punishment outside of that, because that is the biggest punishment that you can have. So.
Do you give Carrington's played great
yeah.
the last couple of weeks, right? He's got 2 that he probably would like to have back. Do you give him grief about that, or do you?
Nah. I mean, you just it happens, and then you just all right, next play. You can't dwell on it. So that's what I'm saying. It's no punishment, because it's we need to move on. You know what I mean? Because you don't want to keep talking about it, and then now, you know, you get a guy thinking about it, and then now when the opportunity shows up again, then it happens again because he's thinking about what happened before, you know, and it's just a cycle. So if anything, it's more so like it's encouragement of like, okay, let's get this done. The next time you get an op, you got to catch him. You know what I mean? So that goes for all of us, though. So we just kind of keep that mindset, and we keep that communication, you know, with each other, so that way, you know, we don't get in our heads and start overthinking when the ball does come our way.
Your defensive passing numbers are very good across the board, except for the picks. Obviously, can you win a Super Bowl that way? I mean, you guys make everyone compete for everything. You just haven't taken the football away as much.
Yeah.
Can you win a Super Bowl that way?
Yeah. But I think, like, even with that, the picks are going to come. Just believe me when I tell you, the picks will come and the turnovers will come. It's just not all the way there right now. But they will come, and when they do, I'm going to come back to the camera and I'm like, I told you, like, it's going to happen. So sometimes you got to be patient. Like, that's what, you know, this league is about sometimes. You got to be patient. You can't, you know, over like, oh, we need it. Nah, just be patient, and once they do come, we just got to make them.
Yeah, and I'm asking that genuinely. Too.
Yeah.
Look at every other number. I mean, your average yards per pass, you don't give up explosive plays.
Yeah.
All those things are right at the top of the league.
For
right?
sure.
So is that enough, right? Can you just make everyone work for it the way you want?
Yeah, because eventually they're going to stop. They're going to be like, all right, we got to force. Eventually they're going to be like, all right, we can't run outs. The X can't run an out. They're going to have to push the ball down the field. You know what I'm saying? So also that's how I feel like that's why we're not getting some of these picks, because a lot of teams aren't even trying to throw the ball down the field. You know, if you just look at how these teams are playing, they're not trying to be aggressive. They don't have the aggressive mentality. They're more so of like, you're milking the clock, you're running the ball, you know, dink and dunk here and there. So it's going to be harder to get those picks. Now, punch-outs, that's a whole different thing. We got to be better with that. But when it comes to actually taking the ball out the air, as far as opportunity-wise, it's, you know, it's not – we're not even getting some of these ops to really seize those ops. You know what I mean? So.
Heck, speaking of scheme, you mentioned earlier, and I don't know if you already answered this, so apologies first and foremost. Do you like when half dials it up where you get to come off the edge and do a safety blitz and potentially go and sack the quarterback?
Hell yeah. I like blitzing. Yeah, I do. That's my answer to that. So hopefully we get some more of those dialed up. Yeah, we'll get it done though.